Good day to you, brothers and sisters. Alive, dwelling in the garden, Saigon. It's now. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot my turtle. It's in the kitchen. Anyway, this is the Stickman Show. The shadow knows, facing the Holy Spirit. That's our episode. And, before we get into it, let's just, dwell in the garden here. Alive, dwelling in the garden. Because it's all here. And when you're living and dwelling in the garden, then therefore the outer world will also be the garden. And before we get to that stage, there has to be some internal work. So that's why why I'm discussing this topic today. The so-called shadow work, or the dark nights of the soul and all that. Everyone will have their own experiences and challenges, all kinds of possibilities in their life. And everyone has a different story to tell. Everyone is perfect, and no one is perfect. I come from the knowing that everyone is perfect at their level, whatever that is. I'm not better than anybody else, and you're not better than anybody else either. Everyone has their own stage of awakening, or however you want to call it, or sleeping. Anyway, it is what it is. It is what it is. And to say, something is better or worse or whatever, it is what it is. So, of course, my goal, or your goal, or anybody's goal is to work with what is known and then do something or not. There are others out there promoting manifestation. But if the inner world is not functioning, how is the outer world going to manifest your dreams? Whatever that may be. So in other words, everyone, including me, are at our perfect level of 10, and we need to understand the so-called shadow, whatever that may be for you. The shadow is your friend. You want to call it the ego, the shadow, or whatever. It's just everything in your life or my life should be thought of as like a messenger. What can I get out of this? What can I learn from this? Or what can I remember that I already was, but I forgot? So everyone is a 10. That's my knowing. I follow that. Though there are, again, circumstances that some past memory comes up or whatever. So life events. We have traumas. Maybe we forget them. We have successes, but the question is, what is the success? By whose definition? We have failures, but again, what is a failure? It also could be a success too. It depends on how you want to look at that. Of course, we have deaths. That means in the physical and also in the spiritual. I die every day. I learn something new and I get rid of the old. So that's death. I go to bed and I take a nap. That's death, because I wake up again a little bit changed, and sometimes dramatically changed. Depends on what I did the day before. And so it is a progression, a realization of what is going on in the now, the eternal now, and meeting the so-called shadows, your friends, on the way. So you need to accept or have acceptance to what is. Don't deny anything. Discard it or avoid it. I know it's hard to face, but that has to be done. I do it all the not all the time, but when you finally get that divine spark, it'll become more and more intense because you're more aware and conscious of what you are doing. That's the awakening, and it is a pain. It pisses me off sometimes. I smile, but no, because it brings you to you're on this like track of being aware of what you're doing and thinking, and that's like, oh man. So then we got to have dissolution or integration of these things. So that means we would have to admit how we're feeling, because we're getting the emotions, we're emoting or creating energy in our body. So that could be so-called positive or negative, however you want to look at it. However, it's we are entertaining that idea, which was from a so-called past moment, or in the present. Everything is in the present moment, but it may have been an experience you had been in, and it comes back, or maybe an experience you are thinking of in the future and it's coming back. It doesn't matter. It's always in the now. So we need to learn to accept these things that pop in our moment by moment so-called existence. We have pain, suffering, maybe envy, greed, anger, some hidden anger, some envy or whatever. If you had watched my former videos and other videos, I have been so-called successful many times in all kinds of endeavors. Racing, and so I did that. Okay. And then I saw what it was, I enjoyed it, and in the end I lost interest, because I saw the whole thing of how it works, what it is, what goes on, and it just didn't interest me anymore after 4 years of doing that. Okay. It is what it is. And when I see other people racing and whatnot, okay, good for them. I don't envy them. Why would I? I know what they're doing. I know the system. Okay. They're enjoying their experience, maybe, and I'm enjoying mine. I already did that experience, so I let it go. Suffering, of course, we've all suffered at some point, maybe even right now. So we need to know why we're doing this. Why are we suffering? So that's an internal thing. You got to talk to your shadow friend there. And envious. Sometimes things happen that, again, everyone is operating at their so-called level of perfection and 10, and others may disagree with you, or kick you out of their club or whatever, try to invite you in or whatever. So everyone is doing their own thing in a way, and some are more organized clubs and others are not. So it's the internal, it's your internal feelings and emotions. What's going on? Why is this happening? Why did this happen? And what should I think about this uh, uh, in the way that it happened? And what is the benefit in learning or the inner knowing from that that needs to be accepted or integrated or have dissolution or dissolved? So that's what we work on moment by moment in the now. So when one of those feelings come up, you go, wait, stop. So you're talking to your ego or whatever it may be, your friend. Why am I feeling this way? Maybe the answer comes up. So, again, that's facing the situation. What is inside becomes outside. Um, and so the outside is reacting back to you. I mean, it's a later, again, you have imagined these issues and it goes out into the so-called future and it comes back and meets you. That's your shadow friend coming back. So you learn to integrate it. And maybe those situations is the reason why it was rejection or argument or whatever is because it is not for you. It's better that it didn't turn out that way, because maybe the vibe or the energy associated to that situation was not appropriate. If you get my drift, it's the man in the mirror, and so you let it go because it's just you. And when you learn to integrate that, you begin to accept it. Accept it as it is externally. You don't internalize it. So that would mean you are, integrating it or having dissolution from the reaction, because you know what is happening. You know the sequences. Let's say, the best is the social media or news. All that negative BS, nonstop, blah, 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 blah. 80% of all media is crap, I have to tell you. And so one of those things will trigger you off, or triggers me off. Not in the violent sense, but I step back and I go, boy, this is good theater, but I'm not buying the ticket. And then the algorithms or whatever are pushing, and I'm sure some people explode. And guess what happens? They drink alcohol or more excessive alcohol. They smoke. I need to smoke and relax. Okay, well, I need to watch some porn and do some other activities. Of course, I would say almost everybody has done this in one form or another, more or less. I mean, come on now. I admit it. And I admit it. So the question is, why am I doing it? What is the benefit? And is it contributing to my development, or is it creating more rabbit holes I don't need? I don't know. You have to be that judge. There's nothing wrong with having your lifestyle, whatever that is. It doesn't matter. If someone likes to drink alcohol, okay, that's their life pattern, If someone likes to smoke cigarettes, okay. One day they'll figure out if that's good or not. I don't know. Who's to judge? Again, you have to admit the thing that is happening in your mind. Lying to yourself is lying to the world. If I'm saying, oh, I never smoke cigarettes, and then 30 minutes later, well, I'm lying to myself. I'm lying to the world, right? So remember, God is not mocked. And who is God? You. God has two faces now. There's the devil. there's Satan. There's Jesus and the devil working together. Or no, opposite, but in the same body. And, some people do that. I could fire off many names in social media doing this or in the news or whatever. But I'm not here to do that. I know how it's done. I could do it myself. But I think, can't serve two masters. Oh, you can. But I think the inner knowing in the end is, that's deceit. Remember, God is not mocked. God sees all. And it's in your own head, your own mind. The all-seeing eye is you. So if you're playing duality roles to achieve something, okay, well, again, are you telling lies or are you telling the truth? What's inside goes to the outside. And, here's the devil and here's, Jesus. That's bad and good. But remember, they're just one. So you need to get into you need to center yourself. As Jesus said, man is forgiven for he knows not what he does. Okay, so I admit it. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Since I admit that, and I do know things that I maybe should or shouldn't do, okay, now I can deal with it and make a change. Inner talk, you got to listen sometimes. Don't think that it doesn't mean anything like some people are telling you. The messengers, they're messengers. Don't shoot the messenger, as it is said. Behaviors, what are the behaviors you do that you don't know? I mean, breathing is an automatic thing. You can modify the breathing, but it's automatic. Walking is basically automatic. You just go. You don't have to think about, I'm going to lift my arm. No, you just do it without having to think. You're really not really thinking about it. You just, I mean, that is definitely built in, precision. But other things that might be out of your awareness, which are external, like drinking, smoking, porn, or whatever. Those are external things you're added into your basic functions, which may or may not benefit. I don't know. But you just need to admit. If someone says, "Hey, do you X, Y, Z?" You say, "Yeah, I do." Okay. You admit the truth. Truth is clear. There's no argument. They accept it. They should just accept it. Don't judge anybody. Everyone is a 10 at their level, remember. So the duality thing is it's there, but it's BS. You still have to be the master of the duality because that's the center pillar. So basically, these are like the steps. Climbing the stairway to heaven or the abyss or whatever. When you know the abyss, you can climb the so-called stairway better. If you don't know the abyss, the deep inner workings and why you do things that are maybe causing a lot of crap in your life, well, then it is what it is. You didn't go down into the basement. I like going into the basement because it's cold and dark and I don't know what I'm going to find. A lot of surprises. And wow, man, I didn't know that existed. You see, when you lose the fear, then you can say, "Oh shit, I do that. Oh, that's me." And so you accept it. Oh, you little devil, you admit it. Um, yeah, sure. I've had alcohol. I've smoked. I've watched porn. Whatever. I admit it. So it is what it is, brothers and sisters. Now, ultimately, we want to radiate our authenticity, the true self, and whatever that may be. Remember, it's a 10. So your true self is your true self. And to say that this is better than anybody else up here than down here, no, that's not true. You just forgot what you were, or your true self is here. And so, it's in, uh, you're unconscious of what you're doing. That's a 10 at that level, right? So ultimately, when you have your so-called awakening, true awakening, then you will ultimately come to your authentic self, true self. You talk to your inner self. You met your friend Shadow. Hey, brother, nice to meet you. Let's make a deal. And you cleared it up. And if your true self is going out every Friday night and getting trashed, okay. As long as you're aware you're doing that and you know what you're doing, and okay, that's fine, brother. And know what you might get from it too. So that's your true authentic self. But there's no one as pure. I mean, I'm pure. I'm perfect. I am better. See, there you go. I am better than that guy because I don't do this. I don't do that. Uh, you know, and therefore I'm better. And that's the attitude. Of course, that gets me. That gives me a little pain or suffering. I mean, not anger in that sense. Um, no, no one on this planet is better than anybody else. Uh, and when I see that going on all over the place, um, it's just like, I need to deal with it. Because again, I come from the world of the all and the nothing, meaning equality, twins, identical twins. So I come from that land, that reality, and trying to integrate this world with my reality is a tough one. And so I need to live with that, and I accept it. However, that's my inner world. That's my experience. That's what I know, and I need to accept, have integration and dissolution, and my true authentic self is appearing, or it is now. A 10 at its level, forever changing, expanding or contracting or whatever. It is what it is right now. And so ultimately, everyone comes to this conclusion sooner or later. That's the promise. Everyone will find their authentic, true self, and that's it. And then maybe the final exit, whoosh, off to other plans, other places, other realities. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it there, brothers and sisters. Oops, that was from another video. I had to take that off. Yeah, so I think I'm going to leave it there. I covered pretty much everything. Remember, you're God. You're the I am. And when knowing that, the world is yours, the stage of life. Climb the stairway to heaven and dwell in the Garden of Eden. Okay, brothers and sisters, alive, dwelling in the garden, Saigon, it's now. Ciao. Oh, I forgot. I'm Rodney Josephson.